The NHS, even the NHS, losing the trust of the British public, record dissatisfaction, unable to provide the timely care and dignity that Britain relies on, a precious contract between the state and the people, broken by public services in crisis, unable to perform their basic functions, broken by an economy that leaves millions working harder just to stand still, and broken by politicians who promised change and never delivered.
The Labour Party is in disarray and the country is on the brink of economic catastrophe. As the economy shrinks, businesses flee, and ministers quit, Keir Starmer's response is to peddle empty promises that ring hollow to the British people struggling to make ends meet. Meanwhile, Rachel Reeves, the Labour Chancellor, is playing a high-stakes game with our finances by dodging direct questions about potential tax hikes, leaving us wondering what Labour's true intentions are for our hard-earned money. We're trapped in a state of uncertainty, unsure of what the future holds. Before the election, Labour touted tax cuts and support for working families, but now it seems they're gearing up for massive tax increases that will devastate our economy. The numbers are stark. Thousands of jobs have been lost in the last quarter alone, and major companies are either shutting down or threatening to leave the UK. Small businesses, the lifeblood of our economy, are fighting to stay afloat. We're watching friends and family lose their jobs, feeling powerless to stop it. If Labour continues down this path, we risk plunging into an economic crisis. More businesses are closing, more people are out of work, and everyone has less money in their pockets. Who will foot the bill? Hard-working Brits like us, who already pay too much in taxes and can't afford to pay more. Keir Starmer's economic record is one of broken promises and inaction. He vowed to deliver growth, jobs, and prosperity, but instead we're getting austerity, unemployment, and economic chaos.
The loony lefty walkie-talkie Nasal Nights world tour goes on. Whilst he's out there, he's making business in the UK more unattractive than it's ever been. We've seen business confidence in this country through the floor.
Yeah.
You can't get businesses from across the globe to invest here because he's killing them. Those NICS contributions that he's pushed up are driving businesses out of business. We've seen it. People won't invest here. It's, all of these businesses now looking to reduce their headcounts, stop recruitment, because they know that business just isn't going to work when you've got a government that's in there determined. Every Labour government in history leaves office with unemployment higher than when they arrive in office, and this government's determined to do it super fast.
Instead of the economic growth and job creation we were promised, we're stuck with stagnation, unemployment, and uncertainty. It's clear that Keir Starmer's leadership is putting our future at risk, and we're all paying the price. This isn't just a matter of bad luck or global economic trends. It's the direct result of Labour's policies and a government that seems more focused on hiding the truth than solving the problem. We feel deceived and betrayed by the false promises and misleading statements coming from Starmer's office. Take, for example, his recent claim about creating thousands of jobs. He touted a £10 billion investment by Blackstone as a record indicator of confidence in his government's economic growth plan. But the reality is far from it. Official documents reveal that only 400 direct full-time jobs are expected to be created, a staggering tenfold reduction from Starmer's claim of 4,000. This blatant exaggeration has left us feeling disappointed and deceived. But Starmer didn't stop there. He also claimed that the £63 billion investment summit would create tens of thousands of jobs. But given his track record of mathematical errors, this statement seems highly suspect. Such a massive exaggeration raises serious questions about the credibility of Starmer's economic promises and whether we can trust him to deliver on his word.
But not beyond repair. Because one thing the British people do know in their bones is that this is a great nation. No matter how tough things are for their family and their community, they know that. And they're right. Because they recognise it in themselves. After all, in the last 14 years, they tightened their belts when they were told, we're all in it together. They closed ranks to defeat a deadly virus. And they never once wavered in their commitment to stand with Ukraine.
The specifics of these broken promises are outlined elsewhere, but the trend is unmistakable. The Labour Party's election campaign rhetoric often bears little resemblance to their current actions, and the consequences are clear. The public's trust has been severely eroded, with many feeling let down and betrayed by the party's failure to deliver on its promises. This sentiment is reflected in recent public opinion polls, which show Labour's support in decline. In a shocking turn of events, a recent poll even revealed that Labour is trailing behind Nigel Farage's Reform UK, a stark indication of the extent to which Keir Starmer's credibility has been damaged. The fact that Labour is struggling to keep pace with a relatively new and smaller party is a telling sign of the party's waning influence and Starmer's dwindling authority.
You describe yourself as working class. Sir Keir, define working class.
No, working class is families that work for their living, earn their money through going out to work every day, not through other
Not
means.
middle classes do that?
Well, working class families have the ordinary hope to get on in life. I mean, this has been
Don't
a story
middle classes have that
Yeah,
as
of course they do. Of course they do.
So what's
But
the distinction?
People will say to me, "Well, look here, you've come a long way.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah, but you went
how
to a state
can't-"
school.
Yeah, but that is the ordinary hope of the working class, which is to have a decent education, to get a decent secure job, to get a car, to get have a nice holiday, to have a
Isn't that
house.
the middle class too, Sir Keir? Everything you just listed? No? Tell me.
It is, yeah, it is, and that's why many people go on their life journey from what you might call working class to middle class.
The £10 billion job creation fiasco is a catastrophic blow to Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, revealing their true priorities: exploiting politics for personal gain rather than genuinely supporting workers. By hastily distorting facts and hoping to avoid scrutiny, they've been caught red-handed. Our investigation has exposed the truth, and now the public knows the extent of their deception. When left feeling deceived and disillusioned, Starmer's promise of 4,000 jobs was a gross exaggeration, with only 400 materializing. His boast of an economic boom were nothing more than empty rhetoric. This blatant dishonesty erodes trust in the government and fuels public skepticism, making it increasingly difficult for people to take future promises at face value. As we assess Starmer's other actions, it's essential to remember that his words are often a far cry from reality. This episode is a stark reminder of the chasm between his promises and actual outcomes. It's hard to recall a time when politicians even attempted to keep their word, but Starmer is setting a new standard for broken promises. His ever-growing list of U-turns on critical issues like Brexit, immigration, and taxes is a testament to his lack of integrity and consistency. The stark contrast between his campaign promises and current policies is a damning indictment of his leadership.
It's time for a pensioners' protest. Keir Starmer clearly has a problem with old people. He's coming after your heating, and now he's coming after your purse. Keir Starmer will be Keir Starver by the end of next year, with 17% of pensioners set to be consigned to a life of poverty under Labour. Now, it looks like he might enforce the cruel, heartless widow tax. The single-person council tax discount is a lifeline for elderly widows and the 4 million pensioners who live alone. They pay 25% less council tax, apparently. Labour are refusing to rule out scrapping that. Well, what else could happen? What's another lifeline for the elderly to have? The free bus passes, isn't it? Well, they might go too. How can you trust them? When Keir Starmer has already flip-flopped on Brexit, on supporting Corbyn, on the winter fuel payments, on taxes on working people, on a big green plan, on free movement, on border security. There's two things people don't like about Sir Keir Starmer. Both of his faces.
The British Chamber of Commerce has sounded the alarm for small and medium-sized businesses, painting a bleak picture of stagnation and decline. Rising costs and suffocating bureaucracy are stifling investment, as most of these companies are reluctant to expand or grow. It appears that the government's policies are slowly draining the lifeblood from the economy, leaving entrepreneurs and business owners feeling frustrated and helpless. The threat of tax hikes has sparked warnings of widespread job losses and forced business closures as companies struggle to stay afloat. Furthermore, a growing number of businesses are opting to avoid the UK altogether, a trend that could have disastrous long-term consequences. If this continues, the UK risks facing a shrinking economy, plummeting business investment, and a devastating loss of economic momentum.
And all they asked for in return was a government to meet them halfway. And there's hope in that. The hope of a government finally able to match their ambition with a credible plan for unlocking their potential. A great nation, rediscovering it can do great things, renewing that contract with the people, delivering the change that they voted for.
The constant flux of policy changes raises serious concerns about the reliability of the current government's promises. As a result, it's becoming increasingly challenging for voters to have any confidence in what to expect from Keir Starmer's administration. So, what does this mean for the average British citizen? While Starmer flip-flops on various policies, it's the British people who bear the brunt of the consequences. The impact on your daily life extends far beyond mere political disillusionment, affecting everything from the country's economic prospects to the future of Britain's relationship with Europe. The unfulfilled promises are just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, the Labour Party's inadequate actions are quietly eroding the foundations of the country. The cumulative effect of these broken promises and lack of decisive action threatens to have far-reaching and devastating consequences for the nation.
Last night, time and time again, Rishi Sunak was clobbering you over the head with that £2,000 tax line. It took you almost half an hour to call it garbage. What on earth took you so long?
What matters is the facts. None of our plans involve tax rises for working people, and I'll spell it out. No income tax rises, no national insurance, no VAT. But what emerged from last night, and this is a very important takeaway, is that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, with his back against the wall, desperately trying to defend their record in office, resorted to lies, and he knows he was lying. And I don't say that lightly. Lying about our plans, lying about waiting lists, and lying about boats. And therefore the choice at the election is even clearer now, which is to turn our back, turn a page on the lies, the division and the chaos of the last 14 years and rebuild the country with Labour.
What's driving companies to abandon the UK under Keir Starmer's leadership? The answer lies in the government's failure to create a business-friendly environment. The constant flux of policy changes, tax hikes, and increasing bureaucratic hurdles have collectively made the UK a less appealing destination for businesses to thrive. This isn't just a concern for big corporations or wealthy entrepreneurs, it affects every single business, regardless of size or scope. When companies pack up and leave, they take their jobs and investments with them, leaving behind a trail of economic uncertainty. The consequences of Starmer's policies are far-reaching and devastating. What are your thoughts on this situation? See you